In honor of May the 4th, let's talk about my favorite unit in all of the Battle Cats, Dark Lazer. Dark Lazer, or Dom Cat, is the 8th purchasable special cat and can be bought for 150 cat food after beating Greenland in Empire of Cats Chapter 1. She has strong against red and ends up being an okay anti-red melee attacker for Empire of Cats. She has a range of 240, which does actually allow her to outrange most melee enemies such as JK Bun Bun and Boar, and a strangely low cooldown of 5.6 seconds makes her incredibly spammable. Her downsides are her knockback count of 1 giving her an iffy survivability, her single target stopping her from being effective against swarms, and her high cost of 1,444 cents stopping her from being effectively spammed in cache-tight stages. Overall, she's a fine unit, but she's generally just too costly for her stats and gets replaced by Fish Cat in most situations. Her true form is unlocked upon beating her awakening stage, Dom Awakens, and gives her multiple huge buffs. Previously, she has a multi-hit, splitting her damage across 3 consecutive hits. Her true form gets rid of this multi-hit while keeping her damage the same and increasing her attack rate to compensate. All this takes her from a measly 1500 DPS at level 30 to an insane 5600 DPS. A 3.7 times DPS increase. For comparison, Can, probably the best non-Uber melee unit in the whole game, has a DPS of just 5.8 thousand, just 200 damage higher than Dark Lazer. This would already be one of the best glow-ups of all time between Evolved and True Form, but it wasn't enough for Ponos. They decided to also give her a second trait target, of Black, which turns her semi-niche strong against ability into an extremely versatile ability that covers a much wider variety of stages. Now at this point, you might be thinking, Max, 5.6k DPS is good and all, but she still only is single target, pretty costly, and only has 1 knockback. Isn't she still kinda mid? Well, in the 10.0 update, every single purchasable special cat got their talents, and there was one key difference between these cats' talents and the normal ones. Since most purchasable special cats were made for usage in Empire of Cats, they generally have pretty pitiful stats. Because of this, Ponos decided to be nice for once and gave them 80% stat buff talents instead of the usual 20% ones. For units that had bad stats to begin with, this kinda evened the playing field, but for units like Dark Lazer, who already had very workable stats, you can imagine what a near double in HP and damage would do. Now with just her attack up talent, Dark Lazer goes from her already good 5.6k DPS to a whopping 10k DPS at just level 30, and a DPS of 16k at level 50. We're just thinking about her in a general sense here, but if you use her against black or red enemies, she has a DPS of 15k at level 30 and 24k at level 50. Remember, she isn't some Uber that you spawn once either. She is a unit with a cooldown of 5 seconds. For some perspective on how broken this is, she has the same cooldown as Shigong, and almost as fast as other specialist meat shields such as Future or Rock. Now let's circle back to her established weaknesses from before. She has trouble dealing with swarms, and she still costs a lot. Well, she also gets both a wave talent and a cost down talent on top of everything, nearly nullifying these weaknesses that she used to have. Now let's go over these one by one. Her wave talent adds a 5% chance to create a level 6 wave attack, increasing by 1% per level up to a max of 15%. Now a 15% chance to create a wave may sound small at first, but when you remember that she attacks 2.5 times per second, as well as the fact that you will usually have at least few of her stacked up because of her low cooldown, you can bet that she will be firing off waves all over the place. These waves aren't small either. A level 6 wave pierces up to 1300, more than 100 range further than Cyberpunk's LD. These waves not only help in dealing with swarms, but also let her snipe down backliners if she has a stepping stool. She also has the benefit of being one of an extremely small group of wave attackers in foreground restriction, second only to Jellycat, which is a fantastic niche to have. Even not talking about the reach of the wave, if you just factor in the damage buff Dark Lazer gets from it, she finally reaches her total DPS of 27.6k against black and red enemies at level 50. Her second talent, Cost Down, reduces her cost by 30 cents per level, up to 300 cents, making her total cost only 1,140 cents. This is still high, but as someone who does have her talents maxed, it makes a much larger impact on her money drain than you might think. Finally, she only has one glaring weakness left, her survivability. While she is semi-tanky, she does lack in the number of knockbacks she has. Her knockback count of 1 means anytime an enemy reaches her, she'll most likely die, and while this problem isn't cured by her defense up talent, that 80% increase helps her get into the range of high damaging backliners as well as helping her hold off more offensive melee enemies on her own. Overall, if I haven't convinced you enough already, Dark Lazer is a fantastic unit and by far one of my favorite in the whole game. While I know that talents are the most accessible due to it being hard to grind your NP early game, if you do choose to invest in Dark Lazer like I have, you'll understand how amazing she feels to use and how good she is as a melee attacker, a waver, an anti-black and red tanker, and everything in between. At the end of the day, have fun playing Battle Cats, and may the 4th be with you.